Okay, let's go back to our top story now. This targeted strikes in Rafah that have been announced by the Israeli Defence Force this morning. Joining us now is the military expert and the retired Air Force Special Operations Commander Glenn Ignazio. Glenn, good to see you. Thanks for your time this morning. So these targeted strikes this morning in Rafah, what's that about? What are they trying to achieve here? Because it's not the invasion yet.
Yeah, that's correct. What hasn't been really published, but in the last 24 hours, where there were 10 rockets launched from Hamas into southern Israel. And in fact, 3 Israeli soldiers were killed. So that's that small enclave of Rafah. And again, the IDF's intention is to eliminate Hamas's capability to attack Israel, period. So that's what happened in this particular Rafah. And I believe that's where the airstrikes are happening right now due to the Hamas rockets directly into Israel within the last 24 hours.
So is this a precursor? Is this kind of setting the scene for the invasion, just sort of clearing out some spaces? Or is this perhaps, as was said to me a little earlier, perhaps a message that was sent in the middle of these ceasefire negotiations?
Yeah, I think it's tied to the initial stages that they want to do and they want to integrate, or go through and prosecute within Rafah. So they did drop leaflets, which was designed to move over 100,000 plus people out of Rafah to a humanitarian area, which is closer to the sea. I think it's Al Masawa, I believe it's called. So the idea that leaflets were dropped means that the intent of an invasion into that area is imminent. I believe that the strikes were definitely against particular hostilities or areas like the strikes that we saw, those rocket facilities. And I believe that this is the preemptive stage. Now, when Hamas said, hey, we do agree to a ceasefire without some of those details originally coming out, I believe that put Israel on a pause to see exactly what those details were. And now we find out it wasn't exactly what Israel agreed to.
Okay. Militarily, what are the complexities? What are the challenges in going into Rafah?
Yeah, definitely the density of how many people are there. Originally, Rafah had about 250,000 occupants, and now it's over 1 million. That's swelled from everybody else in Gaza moving to that area. So what would happen is that this would be a very detailed invasion, if you want to call it that, or at least incursion into Rafah with ground troops. They're going to have to be able to prosecute this very methodically to be able to go through, find Hamas. There's a significant amount of tunnels still in there, and to be able to do that to minimize the damage to civilians. Now, close air support, which are air assets that may support the individuals on the ground, I would expect that those are still in play, but this is going to be definitely a boots on the ground type of operation to move forward.
And the difficulties in keeping civilian death toll low, I mean, that's why they're trying to clear them out, but I mean, you can't clear everybody out.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And in a case, the rules of engagement have to be clear for the Israelis knowing when to actually be able to fire against somebody. Because remember, everybody's dressed the same. You know, this is an asymmetric threat, we call it. Nobody's wearing uniforms. And again, those tunnels are still there. You got to make sure somebody's not going to come up behind you as they go through that area. Very dangerous time.
Yeah, it's true. Glenn Ignazio, the American military expert, appreciate your time, your insight. We'll talk to you again.